All right, Dragon Ballers, welcome back to Get the Mic, the only show where your host on the left, Owl,
And your host on the right, Brock.
dissect fiction for its mythological significance. Today, we're talking about Dragon Ball as usual, and we weren't actually able to stream, so we're going to set this as a premiere. We might be able to be in the chat as it premieres, we'll see. But tragically, and unforeseeable circumstances, and even the speed test was not conclusive on why this is happening, but we weren't able to stream, so we'll just move past that. I hope everyone is doing well this holiday season. I have, as you can see, a festive garment on, and it is snowing here in Get the Mic land. So I hope you guys are all enjoying your holiday of Christmas. Um, Anything else before we start?
No, I think this will be a pretty brief episode. There's a few things to talk about for sure. I don't think it's going to be a 3 hour episode like Changes, though.
No, we did a lot of the onboarding already with changes. So let's get right into it.
Oh, I
Oh,
do have an addendum from
oh
Changes.
yes, let's add
I
that.
forgot. It just occurred to me, but just a small thing. Um, when we were talking about the ending, or right towards the ending of the last episode, there's the scene of the young boy who runs toward the tower when he hears the music. And then, of course, the lightning strikes the tower, and rubble comes falling down, and Piccolo steps in and saves the child, but steps on his toy and walks off. Uh, One thing that it just slipped my mind to point out that we talked about a good amount before was the music element of it. I mean, Piccolo's name is Piccolo. All of Demon King Piccolo's henchmen that he created, he gave musical instrument names, and we had talked about before that being a little bit of that Satan analogy with the wanting to play your own music and conduct your own orchestra instead of participating in the heavenly pattern of music, and that being a big element of the character of Satan. So I was curious what you thought about specifically. It lingers on it a bit here on the in the shot where it shows different toy animals with different instruments rotating through playing music that draws the little boy's attention. What do you think of that?
Well, I think it's and let me rewind it a bit. Yeah, here we go. So it is like what you were saying. The cosmic the music of the cosmos is harmonious, and it incorporates many different, let's say, cosmic vibrations, for lack of a better term. And I think that's why we see the multiple animals here. And then Piccolo, of course, is one, right? And that's kind of what happens in the beginning of the Silmarillion, is that um, Iluvatar has conducted all of these angels basically into making their own music, at his behest, like by his guidance, right? So it's part of the um, cosmic orchestra. And then one starts playing out of tune in a discordant way, and that becomes Melkor, which is like the big adversary, the Satan if esque figure. Okay. And so we can see that similarity here with Piccolo. It's this is actually even more distilled into it, because now it's not um Piccolo with a bunch of different henchmen. It's just Piccolo in one discordant spirit.
I think that's a good way of putting it. That it's been consolidated down to, and we're going to see this as we go into this episode and beyond. But that the ideas that Demon King Piccolo represented through his own actions and through the embodiment that he put out into the world has been consolidated down into Ma Junior, and he's going to represent all of those ideas showing up into the battleground of ideas. Now, one thing I want to point out, this is what really ties it all together to me, that this is important and intentional. We talked in the last episode about play, about playing. There was the young girl who's chasing her balloon, there's the young boy who's running with his toy car. But the thing about music is that it is played. It's something that is done for the sake of itself, right? Music isn't necessarily about getting to the end of the song as much as it is participating in it, it's there's a reason that we use the term play for playing music, right? And fundamentally, what music is it's a pattern across time. It's a pattern that gets manifested across the domain of time, and people play in that space. It's a way to play with time. And when Piccolo arrives on the scene, it's because the the clock on top of the music has been struck with lightning, and the hand of the clock comes crashing down afterwards. Right?
Hmm.
We had talked about the theme of the scene being kind of like playtime is over, that it's very serious now, and that there's no, it's not that this tournament isn't for play. Right? This is actually very serious, but I think that distills it even better.
Yeah, and it's serious enough to be disruptive of the cosmic harmony of the universe. And that's such that we haven't seen in Tenkaichi Budokai. The worst we've seen last time wasn't trying to do underpin the whole cosmic order so much it was trying to subvert the existing order. The Crane school trying to subvert the Turtle school, let's say. Whereas
Yeah, and
in
all of Tien's story kind of led up to that, right? With you know, where's the edge of the game? How do you play the game? Is this actually a way to play the game? Is it still a game if you play this way? Now it's like this is the edge of what is play. This is the edge of the game, right?
right, and now that Ma Junior has instantiated himself, it's not the stakes aren't just participating or not per se. So
Mhm.
that's a good addendum. I don't know if you have anything else to add, but I think that's a good little way to start.
No, I think just by the time we got to that point in the last episode, we were both tired. It was a long episode,
Cool.
and but I wanted to point that out because of everything that we were talking about with the play and the toys and the kids and all of that. It's such a dense episode.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's why it's 3 hours. But let's go back to our actually titular episode, that being preliminary peril. So I chose preliminary peril. I think the meanings are pretty similar. The turbulent Tenkaichi tournament. Um,
Yeah, I think
just
preliminary peril is more accurate.
well, yeah. I mean, it also the Japanese title doesn't take that into account. I mean, that could literally be the title of any episode.
Yeah.
So I think preliminary peril is slightly better for that purpose, and so that's what I went with. But anyhow, we do get straight into it from what we saw last time. Junior's there, and our dragon crew kind of recognize him. Some of them do. Goku and Tien do. Whereas, interestingly enough, Yamcha, Krillin, Bluma, they had never actually seen Piccolo, so I don't know what he looks like. And I like that attention to detail in these old seasons because it's not in new Dragon Ball TM.
Well, I
And
think
so
also that it's very apt, right, that they haven't, like, seen him in a symbolic sense
mhm,
because of what
they
happens
haven't
in this scene.
yes, they haven't seen him for sure. They haven't even been. So we get Piccolo. He's chilling out. He's here. And interestingly enough, this is something that shows Goku's maturity. He doesn't
Yeah,
just like shout out, "Hey, look, it's King Piccolo," which is what Kid Goku would have done. And
he actually
instead,
goes so far as to specifically try to conceal the identity of Piccolo to the other guys who haven't seen Piccolo before, which is something very different from what we would have ever seen Kid Goku do.
exactly, yeah. Oh, it froze.
It's I think it's very fitting that, Tien sees him, and there's this there's this we'll see this further into the tournament too, but there's a sort of mutual understanding between Goku and Tien about like what's going on in the stakes of this tournament with Piccolo being there, because in this scene Tien looks to Goku and Goku's like, "Hey, look, just don't tell the guys,
Hmm.
right? We don't have to talk about who he really is. It's no big deal." And Tien seems to understand what that means, and he lets it go. That is, I think, representative of the training that Goku's gone through with Kami in hiding his spirit and hiding his key. You know what I mean?
Yes. I also think it is an instantiation of what we were talking about last episode, where Goku's asking Tien more or less to put his faith in Goku, so, and not reveal this, right? Um, I think, like we were saying about how Goku has the power pole back, and now he is the conduit between the heavens and the earth. It's it's basically his in treatment of Tien to allow that holy process to continue.
Right. Goku understands fully what his presence means and what his responsibility is. And through that maturity, he knows that it's that the other guys have their own fights in this tournament that aren't relevant to that. And that if they were to understand, or if they were to even come close to understanding what Piccolo represented in being part of this tournament, it would demoralize them, because that's what
Hmm.
Piccolo is he's a demoralizing force.
Right, and I think the other thing is, who was responsible for it? There's something very well, we'll actually get to it in a second. I don't want to bring it up yet. But let's put a pin in that for now, because there's some more detail that I want to
Yeah.
get to in just a second. So basically, they have a stare down, and Piccolo walks off. Then this is where we get that Tien and Goku come to the understanding where it's like, we're not going to tell anyone. And he's no ordinary person, says Yamcha. Oh yeah, I guess Chiaotzu. Yeah, Chiaotzu's also seeing King Piccolo, so he's also, as an extension of Tien, obviously not going to say anything. Forgot about that. Then we have this mysterious woman comes up and greets Son Goku right away. Krillin and Yamcha are amazed, and Goku doesn't know who this is. We see her shocked, and then she gets mad, and she scream. No, she doesn't scream. She like pouts and then goes off. Yeah, there we go. So they're kind of jealous of her, and we'll get back to that. I think there's one thing I do want to mention here about Krillin though, and that's this scene where Krillin is upset that at the thought that he might not be the person that he's saying he is, and I think that's significant to say that he is both upset about that, but also like jealous of Goku being able to get the attention of Chi Chi. So there's a duality here. There's like a cognitive dissonance within Krillin. He knows what he needs to do, but he also is like too morally weak to resist it.
Yeah, I mean, this is, thinking of it as that continuation of, it was his fault in Hotter Than Lava that things went the way that they did, because of him being a simp ultimately, right?
Yeah.
His it's the opposite of what Goku's doing, right? Because Krillin, when he sees a cute girl, he's like putting her up on the top of this pedestal and and being obsessive, and Goku has no thoughts about this woman. He's like, "Who are you? How do I know you? How do she?" And he mentions later, seems familiar, but he has. It's ironic in that sense, because it's that thing that, uh, and that's how it is for men in real life, which is that women don't tend to want the type of guy who's going to put them on a pedestal and obsess over them. They might, in a fleeting sense, like the attention, but that's not what they want from someone who's self-assured and is holistically a complete person. And that's what the whole going on their own ways thing is
Hmm.
realizing themselves as whole, complete individuals. And we'll see as we get further into this arc the the different phases of that the trio of Yamcha, Krillin, and Tien, how far along that process each of them is, right? But suffice to say that Krillin is not that far along that process, not
Right.
not, not nearly as much as these guys.
Right, and that's why I wanted to point it out, is because it's a good character. Um, let's say if it's an establishing shot for Krillin, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So we still know now. Like, I don't think we saw last episode and changes. I don't think we saw Krillin have it be exposed to any like or say anything about like cute girls or anything like that. Did we?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. He comes kind of towards the end of the episode, so yeah. I don't think so. And if not, it's nothing like this. It's not where he's literally in tears about it, right? Oh my gosh.
Angrily crying, yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to mention that real quick, and then we get the announcement. Uh, yeah, I'm actually surprised Yamcha doesn't. Oh, I don't know. She's looks way different, so that makes sense. Um, So then we get the announcement: the qualifying matches are about to begin. Gather in the center, and this is where we'll talk about uh, Piccolo again. The guy says thank you for coming. We have a lower than expected turnout. Let's say it's like way lower. I think 70 participants for like when they had hundreds in the last, over 100 in the last two. So he alludes to it here. He's like, recent events have either made people perish or scared people off. Um, and I think that has to go with what we're talking about with Piccolo and why Goku doesn't want his identity revealed. And it's because if that would happen, then this tournament would not happen. If everyone knew it was Piccolo right now, they wouldn't continue here. And this whole
Well,
process
I
would
like that.
not be undergone.
Well, in the translation, the announcer says that the last tournament was, quote, tremendously high level, which I think is very accurate for, what this is, because this is the number one under the heavens tournament. And it's about seeing how high the level goes under the heavens, right? And the high level that we've been talking about since the beginning of the series is, of course, like a level of cosmic instantiation.
Hmm.
And so I think that naturally is also narrowing the field of what the competition is, because the higher you get in this sort of hierarchy of instantiations, the fewer and fewer people uh, are representative. It's like a pyramid, right? And so he's pointing out that we're higher up on that pyramid, and so it's a smaller pool just naturally, not just because it was dangerous, but because it's literally a higher level of being.
Right. And I think that the reason that the level of participation has risen in that way, in the qualitative way, is because of two things, and it's Goku raising it up and Piccolo pushing it down, pushing the numbers of people that would deign to try down, and Goku inspiring the people that would deign to try to achieve something like that up, right? And so we
Right.
see that it is a funneling aspect to it. So there's fewer people in the tournament, and it's one of the reasons, like I was just saying, it's one of the reasons why Goku would want to keep Piccolo's identity a secret, so that the tournament is still sacrosanct, right? It's still sacred.
Well, also, I think I like that you pointed it out that way because it's also part of why Goku is here, why the rain stopped when he got here, right? Is that he's fundamentally participating in this as a moralizing force because of he has gone through the training to become essentially a living idea, and now he is here. Now, following this tournament, we'll see in the future in Z that more people turn out, right?
Hmm.
And I would say as a result of what Goku does in this tournament. But this is like it's setting the stage for Goku to do what he's here to do, which is to be that moralizing idea.
Yeah, and the stakes are such that if Piccolo wins this tournament, there's no more tournaments.
Right.
So it's yeah, it's very well done. Let's continue here. So the announcement goes on, and Tien gives Ma Junior a side eye and all this, and oh yeah, so the crowds are here, and we see our typical clan, our dragon crew. They are trying to get inside, and the crowd pushes them forward, and of course Roshi gets pushed into the chest of another female attendee and gets slapped for it, and Bulma's embarrassed. Now, something I wanted to point out here is that it's not actually Roshi that does it this time. Roshi's pretty well behaved so far, as we've seen. Um, he does test Bulma, but he hasn't done anything to launch. And here we even see him like not being lecherous in that way. And I wanted to point something out too, that in the dub they change it completely. In the dub, he says keep pushing when he's against her chest. And when he in the sub when he says I said don't push. So a little bit of
So
the change of meaning there.
I want to give a slight disagreement just because of something a little bit subtle about this, the way it's animated. So he gets pushed in, he goes back, and then it's you don't see any pushing. He leans back in and then yells, "I said don't push," and then
Oh,
just sits
maybe.
there.
Yeah, you might be right
And it seems
actually.
like it starts that way, and it's very subtle. He goes back and then goes back in, right? And I think that's why Bulma's embarrassed and why she's actually upset is because
Yeah, I didn't
he
notice
does
that.
lean into it.
Solid observation. Solid observation.
And he goes, "I didn't mean to either." Well, it looks like in the
Oh,
dub,
he fooled me. Hey, he fooled me.
yeah.
But in the dub, yeah, it makes it more obvious. Interesting, interesting. Oh, there's the tier, the Roshi tier. Well, yeah, yeah. Fair enough. So, they're still trying to get in, all that. We have our transformers. They transform as
I
birds
love
and they
I love
fly in.
Oolong in this because it's like part of it's canon Oolong's character that he sucks at this. So he's just like a flying pig.
But he wasn't that bad in the beginning. Like he transforms into a rocket that goes pretty dang fast.
Yeah,
So,
no, he's at
but
at the beginning of the story, he's a good shapeshifter, and I think that honestly his lack of ability to be as good of a shapeshifter might be reflective of
no, it
Bulma's
definitely is. Yeah.
progression as a character. Like
Yes.
he's more integrated in
Well,
that
they're all
sense, so he's
pig-headed now, right? All the things he transforms into keep his head.
well, you'll notice that he doesn't really default to the shapeshifting very much anymore. He has to keep getting reminded that he can. In fact, in last episode, he said to Bulma, "How am I supposed to reach something that you can't reach?" Right. So I don't think that like shapeshifting is as much of Oolong's character as when we first saw him. He was able to be like whatever he wanted. He was a big demon-looking pig, and then he was a rocket. And he was a handsome guy. He was all these different things. Now it's like it's kind of a goofy one-off with him, and he doesn't try to do it very much.
So they fly in to see this. Nothing really else to say there. And then they're all drawing their lots to see where they're gonna go. Tien telepathically tells Chaozu to like put everyone in different corners of the bracket so that they don't have to fight each other. Um, Here there is something funny about Chaozu doing this, and that's that Chaozu was defeated last tournament by counting, and now he's got to count up to like 72 or something. So there's something ironic about that. It shows Chaozu's ability. He overcame his weakness, let's say.
It's a lack of attention, right? Because he sets himself in a bracket with someone who's about to whip him.
That's also true, yeah. I mean, he
And
does.
he should recognize him. He doesn't pay attention, right?
True, but it's not. I mean, they honestly should all be it. If everyone's crossing out in front of them to draw, they should all have recognized him. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, yeah, I think the that Chaozu's ability to do this is an expansion, because last time he did it with 8, he only did it that first time. I'm suppose they don't show him doing it. I don't think for the qualifying round, um, but they do it for the final.
Well,
Anyways, go ahead.
I wanna talk about it a little bit though, just in a symbolic sense that, I don't think we talked about it that much when Chaozu did it last time, but the idea of this being an extension of Tien, that, Chaozu fundamentally is this, this part of Tien. What it means that he's able to do this, it's almost like he's able to persuade the fates, or that it's like this is something that's inherently random, but he's able to somewhat control the randomness of something like a sort of mimetic power, I guess you could say. Like
Well, I think
I
I
think
think
it's
it's different between last time and this time. I think it's a bit different because the last time he did it, TN was still following a malicious path, let's say. And so when it was last time, he actually did it to be the most demoralizing. Remember?
Mhm.
And he said that he wanted to fight Yamcha first so he could take the strongest out first and demoralize the rest, right? And so this time
Yeah,
it's actually a moralizing thing because none of them have to fight each other and they can all go on the grand stage. So I think it
but I think
does. Go ahead.
I think you're right, but I think that there's also a cost to him doing it, because
Yeah, I agree.
what happens is Chaozu is immediately taken out, right? Which we'll get to, but
Yeah, and the
it's almost
cost is you can't manipulate these things, right? Being and still be a virtuous hero type, right? And so manipulating it is going to end up beckoning forth,
Tao Pai Pai. It
yeah,
beckons forth the
malice,
challenge
yeah.
to
Well,
the authority
the spirit that was
that
used the first
Tien.
time. I think it has to
Yeah.
do with the first time they used it, right? The demoralizing part of the first instance of Chaozu's telepathy in this way.
Well, I don't think it's a good thing. Like, I understand why he's doing it, but it's also wrong because it also is a reflection of how he used to behave, rigging the game in a certain way. And so it's almost like he calls forth the spirit of Tao Pai Pai by doing this, to challenge him to say, "Oh, are you that authority? Stand up to your old superior." You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that also knocks Chao Tzu out of
Well,
the
I mean,
running
we'll
completely.
talk about, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, it's just it stood out to me in watching the episode that there's something about it that is kinda like, sticky, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. I didn't make the like beckoning forth of Tau Pi Pi connection, but I definitely was thinking about how this time and last are two different instances, and here Tien's supposed to be a good guy, right? But he's still doing this, and Goku doesn't say to do this or anything. So
Yeah, no, the more I talk about it, the more I feel like that's right, and it's also in keeping with the way that Dragon Ball has shown things chronologically. It's like we didn't see Tao Pai Pai until after all of this, you know? And
yeah.
in a sense, a lot of things in Dragon Ball happen in that very
Oh, sequence.
chronological
It's
sequence.
so
It's sequenced
important.
out that way.
Sequence is so important. All right, yeah.
But anyway,
Let's continue here. So they all draw different parts. Oh, who's this guy? Who's this man? I bet you this man's gonna win it all, Brock.
that man looks like a hero.
So here we have Luchador Roby, and he's a
Yeah.
good character. We're gonna get into him more later.
Obviously, Yajirobe.
It's Yaj. It's the Yaj. Actually, it looks like Chiaotzu only does it to those. He doesn't do it to Yajirobe.
Nope, he only does it to themselves and to Piccolo.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly why that he doesn't know that he's going to encounter what he encounters.
Yep.
There he is. Look at him. Famous last words.
Also got the little peace sign and everything.
Famous last words. All right. So then basically they start. And the first ones to go is Goku because he drew like number 2. Goku versus uh the one he fought. I think it was it at the end that he fought Champa last time, right? Now he's fighting Champa in the first round.
Yeah, that was the which
The,
tournament was it?
the second, right?
Was it in the second one when he fought him, or was it the first?
No, the first was way too goofy to have King Champa.
I
I
guess
think
so, but
the first they all just advanced pretty easily. I think. Yeah, they all advance easily. Yeah, I mean it's just like
yeah,
Yamcha.
I think
Yamcha
Champa had to
beats
be
like
resurrected.
a Bruce Lee type character, and Krillin beats like a giant or something. But no, I think Chomp is definitely 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai. But anyway, so yeah, he Goku fought him right before the finals last time. Now he's fighting him in the first round. And Goku. There's something weird in the dub. They talk about Goku's like, "Wait, I thought you were killed by Piccolo." And it's like, that's why would you say that? That's so stupid to say.
Yeah, that's odd.
What an
I
odd
really
thing to
like the
say.
sub version of Goku once he's grown up, just in the more subtle performance.
Yeah. It's a difference. So Chapo's like, "Great, now I can finally beat you from last time." And then we get our stinger. And then they start fighting. And we get one of these great parts that we don't really see too much later on, but this the vibe of this shot here is just so Dragon Ball. It's Goku towering over. Oh, maybe I skipped it. I hope I didn't skip it. I even considered putting this for the thumbnail too. There it is. It's
Oh
Goku
yeah,
towering over Chapo like this. And I think we saw this last. Surely we didn't see this last in Baba's tournament with the mummy. I know we saw it then. We may have
we've
seen it
definitely
another
seen
time.
a similar shot like this before. Um, yeah, this fight is it's there's not a lot to say about it, but what I want to point out about it that's very interesting to me is that it's a battle of him not being able to see Goku.
Oh, I know. There's something really good that he says too that the dub messes up. So
'Cause he wants
Chapo,
to fight Goku.
Goku's basically embarrassing him. He disappears after his first assault and then just stays behind him to where he can't see him. And this is the part that's amazing.
Yeah,
He's actually not. He's behind Chapo, but Chapo shouts out, "He's above me," which is such an insightful thing to say. But the dub says, "You coward." So I don't really like that change, Brock. I think that change is bad.
yeah. Well, the whole point, what I think the point is here is that he's intuiting that obviously he's being attacked from above, and that's why he saw him towering over him. But the reason that it plays out the way it does in this fight, I think, is just to show that he's more of an earthly representation of fighting, and that's why he's the first to go here. In that this is not a It's not fundamentally a physical fight. This is a spiritual fight.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
when he looks up to say like, "Oh, he's above me," it's he can't see it. It's not something that he's capable of perceiving. That's why Goku's just
Yeah,
casually just staying right outside of the field of his vision.
it's Goku and the contest, right? It's a dual meaning here. It's Goku is above him. This whole contest is above him. That's why it's 72 people. It's going to be more spiritually based because we're getting into the realm, like we've said, of ideas, right? And those patterns that persist. And what's Chapo's pattern? There's not much of one other than he used to be tournament champion. He was the eight. He used like the eight arms, right? But that's all physical. Like
It's
we were
all
saying,
physical.
it's all physical, and so we don't really get to that spiritual level with Chapo, and so he admits that, and that's basically when he loses, and that's the reason that that's when he loses is that Goku wanted him to understand that this is the level that we're at, and this is what's at stake, and this is what you have to be on a spiritual and level to be a danger to the devil.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so Goku does that, and we get our first little montage. Yajirobe wins, of course. So the montage happens. We like barely see anyone fight for longer than a few seconds until this part right here where we see Chiaotzu. He's ready. He's ready to go into his preliminary match. But what's this? He sees something. Oh, look at that ponytail flip. And then he cries out in pain. And what happens? Well, Chaozu has been knocked out by a mysterious fighter dressed in pink with mechanical head and eyes and a sick mustache. That's
One thing I
right.
want to point out about Tao,
It's Tao Pai Pai. Go ahead.
is that we see the ponytail, right? That's the only thing we see, and the only thing that Chaozu sees, and then he's defeated. Well, Chaozu is an extension of Tien. He's a, he's not. I always just discount Chaozu when we're talking about characters because he's not
He's so
a
much like
prime
Oolong
character.
and Puar to Tien
Yeah.
that it's just
But
yeah. It's
the thing about Tao Pai Pai is like that's what hair is symbolically in a lot of stories, even in like biblical stories, is this sort of extension of oneself. And a tail. It's a ponytail. It's a hair tail, right? In a sense, Chaozu is the tail, just like Goku's tail is his tail that trails behind him. That's an extension of himself. And
there,
I
yeah.
just think it's like very fitting that
And don't forget they
what
both use their tails, let's say,
yeah.
in the battles they have.
Yeah, this isn't a new idea of him using the ponytail as a fighting method, which is to say, how big of a character he is. But I think it's just really fitting that that's how we see this happen. We see a flip of the ponytail. You see a flip of his braid, and Chaozu's defeated
Yep. And it's
because it's
the
not about Chaozu; it's about Tien.
yeah, it's about the appearance of Tao and what he represents that is automatically going to demoralize the innocent childlike spirit of Tien. So here's Tao, and he explains that it costs a lot of money for him to come back, but he paid it off somehow. So somehow Tao Pai Pai returned. But like we said, there is a symbolic reason for it. The beckoning forth of Tao is the manipulation of what should be given to chance.
Hmm. And there's a thing about it too that I think is kind of interesting, where he says it took all his time and his money to come back. Right? It took a long time, and he says, you know, He might not say it right now. I think in the next scene, maybe the Crane Hermit says something about it, but it cost a lot of money. It cost him all of his money he made as an assassin to come back
Yep.
as a cyborg, right? Which is to say that he has divested himself of the physical things that he had and become an idea to contend with the ideas in this tournament on this level, right?
Yeah,
And
like
so
what
now it's the
the
idea
I
of Tao Pai.
it's the material enhancement, right? Um almost the almost like the Darth Vadering. I got to stop it here. I love this scene. We got to talk about this. Anyways, yeah, it's like the perversion in the same way that Darth Vader is a perversion, right? And it does give mechanical bonuses, but it also has the spiritual drawbacks, let's say.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so he does represent the mechanical augmentation of humanity and how it and I think this is persistent across a lot of Toriyama's work is that it a lot like in Tolkien, like the technology usually is a perversion of what the original was, and it doesn't actually make that much of a difference.
At least not for now.
Not for now, yeah. So wait. Oh, I see what you mean. We'll get to that. So
Well, he specifically calls himself a cyborg in this, which is a little bit different from what we'll talk about with Z.
yeah, it is. I mean, is it though? No, they're cyborgs. Remember
Yeah,
their
they're
tech.
cyborgs, but
I mean,
they
I mean,
specifically call themselves androids,
I
which
know,
is,
which
I
is
think,
retarded.
I know it's a semantic thing, but it might not be quite as semantic just because of the level of instantiation. You know, I don't want to talk about the androids right now, but like they don't look like
Yeah.
Tao. You know, Tao Pai
Right.
Pai is externally
Well, let's say
mechanical.
for the purposes of the Dragon Ball universe, Tao Pai Pai is a cyborg, whereas the androids are not. But we'll get into that later, like
Yeah,
you said. So then Krillin asks who this guy is, and Goku says he tried to kill my friends, and we get this little scene, which I think we see again later on in this saga. I remember seeing this a lot in our watch through, and it just shows Goku beating up Tao and kicking the grenade back up and all that.
I think that it's actually pointing out something pretty fitting about the situation, though, which is that Goku didn't defeat Tao. It was more through Tao's mechanical means that he was defeated, his own mechanical means. And here he is back again as this sort of like mechanical rebirth.
And we see
Goku
too,
didn't kill
yeah,
him like with a Kamehameha or anything like that. He just sent his own technology back at him, right?
right. And we also saw that in his fight with Goku, he was at the end, like when he was desperate, he was willing to rely on swords and grenades and all that to best Goku. Whereas the bottom of let's say the bottom of an idea can't just be ending up in the physical realm that
Mm,
way.
yeah.
So Goku says, I could have sworn he blew up, and Tao's like, I did, but it cost all me money. Is this where he says it? Yep. I'd use
Yeah, had to use
all
all.
me money, SpongeBob. And so he Tao basically says that he's gonna kill Goku and then he's gonna kill Tien because Tien is a traitor. And it is interesting because there are consequences to betraying an idea. And so when we see this be prepared to die and we saw him just like easily take out Chiaotzu, who's supposed to be supposedly as strong as the other four or a little weaker, maybe a lot weaker, but even still, Tao crushes him pretty easily. And so when we see this, it actually does have some stakes with what's going to happen with Tien because, like I said, there are consequences for betraying an idea, and he did betray the idea that he once that the ideas that he once held.
Well, it's also talking about the gi in this scene that'll come back up later in in a later confrontation. But he's like, oh, it looks like you joined the turtle hermit school. Tien makes a point to point out, no, I've gone my own way, but Tao Pai Pai doesn't understand that. He doesn't seem to be able to comprehend
Oh, you're with me or you're against me, right?
that level that Tien is on.
And he possesses even greater strength. Anyways, so yeah, I think to sum it up here, this Tao encounter is it's the consequences that we get to see of the actions here from Goku and from Tien and from, I guess, basically Tien. Tien's calling forth of those ways that he had, but also, um, like we said, the the both lowering and uppering of this echelon for the Tenkaichi Budokai, where Goku is inspiring people to join and Piccolo is discouraging people to join. Um, we see that Tao here has also been summoned for that reason, because Tao wants to kill Goku in front of everyone for the reason that we've been talking about. He understands that much. He and his brother understand that much, that now the Budokai is about um this competition of ideas. And so he needs to defeat Goku in this realm for his revenge to be complete. For him to
Yeah,
prove that being an assassin is superior to being the Logos.
and I think that's the point of his eyes being replaced here with the the red goggle lens that he
Mhm.
has now.
The specs, yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about this a lot throughout the arc, but vision and being able to perceive things. This is showing that he has a perception, at least on a higher level than he had before.
Right, and
Whereas,
it's
for
it's like
instance,
the
like
bare
Goku's
minimum
probably
of
just
what
perception.
he needs to do to compete in this on this level.
Yeah.
But we'll talk more about that next time. So, I think did you want to say any closing bits here?
Oh, is this the end of the
Yeah, this is
episode?
the end of the episode.
It's a good cliffhanger. It's like, oh man, what are we gonna do now? Of
Yeah,
course,
it went pretty quick, you know.
no, I think we covered pretty much all that we want to talk about for this episode because it's just gonna keep rolling in the same pattern that we just talked about. It'll keep building on what we were talking about straight through to the next few episodes.
Heck yeah. So, I think we'll go ahead and end there. If you liked what you heard, wait a minute. Before I do that, I was just gonna say, if you have anything to add next time, we can always do an addendum. I think the addendum was like a good 10 minutes or something, so we can
Hmm.
always do an addendum next time if we forget. But anyways, if you liked what you heard, don't forget to like and subscribe. Those links there should work for everything. And I know we don't have any chat right now. I don't think the chat will actually appear there for this time because we didn't stream it. But we're gonna premiere this, and we hope you guys enjoy it. I've been your host on the Left Owl.
And your host on the right, Brock.
We hope you guys have a good night.
I told you I wasn't going to go easy on you. You're on your own.
You can't leave me. That's cruel.
Hey, guess what? Sometimes, kid, life is cruel. And don't you forget it. body and in mind.
But